everybody, welcome back to the clinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's the clinicaltrialsguru.com. Thank you very much for sending in your questions. Keep them coming. I've been really busy lead generating for my CRA Academy, talking to my students that are currently in my academy in the April session, which is full, and then signing up new students for my July session. So I've been busy with that, been busy getting studies for clients through my business development consulting firm, and then negotiating contracts and all that usual stuff, SOPs, finding sites, PIs, you name it, we're doing it. Plus, oh, by the way, not to mention running the sites that we actually own, getting them studies, keeping the employees happy, training employees, keeping the monitors happy, which that alone is a full-time job. Luckily, I have a lot of people I work with, strong team members, so we can make all this happen so that I can continue doing these videos, because this is time consuming as well. So today's question's a good one. It's for the research sites, okay? I'll just read it. If a clinical trial site got very big and can no longer be embedded in the physician's office but has to move across the street, can you explain how the workflow will work out? It's not a situation where the MD can go to the site even if across the street to do the exams. The subject will have to go to the clinic across the street for exams, but informed consent, study drug administration, home equipment, EKG, physicals have to happen there, and blood labs, x-rays, etc. All the procedures that the doctor has to do has to happen across the street. So what's the workflow? What's the infrastructure needed to the site across the street? How many rooms will the coordinator shuttle back and forth between site and clinic with the patient? So this is a satellite site, okay? It has to be approved by the sponsor. Of course, sponsors prefer everything done in one location, right? But in this situation, what this will be is a satellite site, so it's another address you need to fill out on the 1572, all right, where you put other locations. This will be the other locations, and probably a note to file will need to be included with the 1572 explaining exactly what will be occurring at the satellite site versus what will be occurring at the main site. So from your email, it looks like the study drug will be administered and stored at the satellite site because you'll have more space. So will the coordinator shuffle back and forth? Yes, the coordinator is going to have to shuffle back and forth. Someone's going to have to do that. It's more than likely going to be the coordinator. In an ideal world, your PI would be willing to go across the street and take care of assessments there. However, if you're going to have the assessments conducted at the physician's office, someone's going to have to shuttle the coordinator back and forth. Where it gets tricky is if you're transporting IP. So if you were to dispense the IP at the physician's office and then have the coordinator go across the street to receive the IP, or vice versa, anytime you're moving IP between sites, you need an IP transportation log. In this case, it doesn't sound like you will because you'll be administering the IP at the satellite site, so that'll be fine. Monitoring visits will need to occur wherever there's space, and this will all be outlined in the note to file. You'll definitely need a sponsor approval. You'll have to explain this at the site selection visit, but it has been done before in situations such as this where there's just not enough space at the physician's private practice, so everything's done at the satellite site, and in your case it's across the street. So it definitely could work out. The workflow is going to be just the same as it would be should everything be done at one location. You're just separating functions. That's how that would work. It would just be an extra address on the 1572, and the coordinator would have to shuttle the patient back and forth between clinic, and then monitor visits would be conducted where there's extra room. How many rooms, square footage? Do we need a crash card? Yes, you do. How many rooms? Depends on what you're using the rooms for. So if you're processing labs at the satellite site, but you're collecting labs at the main location, you're going to have to transfer the tubes across the street. That might be a little inconvenient for the coordinator, to say the least. Hopefully you can process the labs in the same location that you're collecting the labs, right? Because then you won't need an IATA certificate for your satellite site if you're not processing the labs there or collecting the labs there. So that's one less thing you'll need. You won't need a CLIA waiver unless you're processing the labs there and collecting labs there. You probably need about 1,600 square feet. Maybe you could probably get away with 1,400 square feet. If your site has gotten so big, I'm assuming that you're getting a lot of studies, and to accommodate space for all these studies, even though it's a satellite location, you would still need about 1,600 square feet, and you would need, I would say, about 6 to 7 rooms that you can dedicate to monitoring space, that you can dedicate to other procedures, like informed consent, although if the PI doesn't do the consenting, if the PI will never go across the street to the satellite site, how would you do consents there? Because most studies these days require the PI to be a part of the consenting process, so you're probably going to have to do the consenting at the main site. You're just going to have to look at every assessment for every study and figure out what you're going to have to do at the main site and what you're going to have to do at the satellite site. You do need a crash cart for both because emergencies can happen at either location. Yeah, study drug administration, home equipment, what kind of rooms needed, will the coordinator shuffle back and forth? So yeah, hopefully this answers your questions. It's been done. There's nothing new under the sun when it comes to research. I've literally seen it all. I've heard it all. The stuff I haven't seen, I've heard. This is done a lot. I've actually used to do this in the past, and not even across the street. I've had a satellite site a few miles away, and we had to drive patients back and forth. In your case, sounds like you can just walk across the street. At one of the clinics I'm in now, the physician's office is in Suite A, and the research site is in Suite B, technically 2 separate addresses, so we have 2 separate addresses on the 1572. Technically, it's a satellite site. Alright, so hopefully that helps. It's done all the time. Make sure you account for it in your overhead budget. And congratulations on getting big and expanding and needing more space. This is a good problem to have. Let me know if I can be of further help. Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.